so calorie counting is really something that is not, that's another reason why it doesn't work. You say, well, I only ate 300 calories today. Well, what were they? Well, you know, a cookie, a Twinkie, and a Hostess cupcake. And I can say, well, you didn't really get any nutrients in there. And of course, no one said that to me. But I'm just saying, you know, I'm trying to show that comparison and that contrast there. So that's a key piece. The other thing is, and we're going to talk about sugar. Sugar tastes good, I know, and it's in everything that we eat, a lot of things that we eat, it does. And if you can eat pure as possible, and that's a fresh piece of protein, some side vegetables, and a side grain, if you can keep it pure like that and not pull it out of a package or a box, you're going to be a little bit safer when it comes to preservatives and things like that go into it. And sugar as well. Sugar is hidden in so many different things. You'd be surprised if you don't already pick up your cans and your bags and take a look at it. So with sugar, though, sugar is also considered refined flours, right? So even if it's gluten-free flours, rice flours, tapioca flours, and wheat flour, and that type of thing, it turns to sugar. In those days of hunting and gathering, and yes, we've evolved, so I'm not trying to say that was just yesterday and here we are today, we consumed about 22 ounces of sugar a year. Today, the average American consumes 22 ounces of sugar a day. Now, the body has to respond to that the same way that it did 2,000 years ago. So, longer than that. It would be longer than that, but anyways, long time ago. So, here we are as we consume, let's go for a piece of bread. If we consume a piece of bread, this is what happens within the body. Insulin surges go up. Now, everybody's heard the word insulin, I'm sure, before. Before I began this study, I was like, insulin and diabetes, that's what I know about insulin. Well, it turns out 70% of Americans have a blood sugar issue. And it comes in one of two forms. You either bonk or hit a wall, so you're hypoglycemic, or it comes in the form of insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is kind of that pre-diabetes. Insulin resistance is getting back to the sugars that we're consuming. When we take something in, like that piece of bread, insulin is released. It's surged. And insulin's job is to figure out where to put the sugar. Should I put it in the liver? Should I put it in the muscles? Should I put it in the cells? And if it starts taking in way too much sugar, more than that 22 ounces a year, if it starts taking away, it starts to close the door and say, I'm not going to do it anymore. So when that happens, you develop insulin resistance. And when your insulin goes up, your blood sugar crashes, and the next thing you know, you're hungry because you don't have this constant sustenance within the body. So you've got a spike. You've got this roller coaster ride that you've put your body through. So it alters your brain chemistry as well. When this occurs and you're taking in too much sugar over a certain amount of time, your brain starts to say, your body's not full, your stomach's not full. So you're getting messages that are telling your body, you're not full, and that's why you keep eating. So please don't go and kick yourself. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just ate that one. Well, obviously there was a reason why you felt that at that time. And so know that there is actually a physiological reason for this. Now, as I told you, fight and flight, right? No rest and digest, that kind of gets put on the back burner. As a result, the digestive system gets compromised. So now, when the digestive system gets ignored, there's no digestive enzymes, things that help break down food. As a result of that, when you're eating, you're not taking in any nutrients. You're not getting the vitamins and minerals that you want. So now you want to eat more food because you're not feeling nourished. So is that kind of all registered? Am I explaining it clearly? Maybe that's a good question. Okay. So that's what can lead to weight gain. Another aspect, though, too, I want to share with you is food sensitivities. And there's been a lot of talk about that. And food sensitivities are foods that we take in, and the body responds in a defense mechanism. It takes in wheat, for example, and as soon as it comes in and you're eating it regularly, it creates antibodies or a defense mechanism to protect itself from that particular. So it recognizes it as an invader. Well, when the body is doing that type of defense process, it swells. That's how the body protects itself. Swelling is inflammation. Inflammation, it can be fat. I've had, just recently I had a group of clients that went on an elimination diet only, and it was not for weight gain, even though that was kind of one of their thought processes. And I said, you know, we're not going to focus on weight gain. I don't want to focus on diet. We're not going to focus on anything like that. But let's just focus on cooking well, and let's focus on eliminating a few foods and then reintroducing. And they came in, oh my gosh, I lost 12 pounds. I lost 10 pounds, you know, just from eating pure and trying to get away from all those toxins and identifying some foods that were actually creating problems for them and creating inflammation. So, you know, elimination diet is something that's very easy to do. It's, it doesn't cost any money. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of thought process. One other thing too, though, as well as the types of foods that we're eating, I've already touched on that. But I just want to add that, you know, there's so many pesticides and toxins in our foods that we're eating if we're not eating organic, and I know we try to do our best. Just know that those can create inflammation as well, especially in an individual who's extremely sensitive to chemicals and toxins. And so that's something that, you know, you could definitely come see me down the road if you're like, gee, I've tried this, this, and this, and it's just not working, and I'm just not losing weight. We need to look a little bit deeper and say, okay, are there maybe some chemical toxins that we talked about here as one of those identifying areas. So, so you get food sensitivities. So I just want to make sure it wasn't. Okay, blood sugar, got that.
Can I jump back and totally throw you off?
Sure, yeah.
You were talking about the adrenals, that when you have stress, that they overproduce, and you get this kind of high for a while. And to me, in my mind, that reminds me of when I had babies and didn't sleep and didn't eat well and I was screaming and trying to work. And so there's a lot of stress, but you keep going, and it kind of breaks down, and then they start not producing as much, and they start crashing. Once you change your lifestyle, take away those stressors, are those adrenals able to, you know, our body, can it heal itself? Can you get your adrenals back to where they were before you had those stressors?
Absolutely. And you know, I apologize for not emphasizing that. That's the beauty of our body. So if you give it the right tools, it will heal. And even if you don't do everything right, if you do most of it right, it'll kind of sort itself out. And that's one of the main things that I actually do, is just really try to identify what tools, what systems need the support, identify the tools that that individual needs, and then just try to redirect the body into getting back to, oh, this is the way it's supposed to go. And there's a lot you can do, and you probably did, Laura, you know, that right after your babies were born. You know, after our babies are born, immediately afterwards, we are in menopause. Hormones just drop. I'm learning that right now through my hormone cure program, but anyways. So those 3 days, and I don't know if you remember that, but I remember I cried nonstop. So it kind of gives you a little snapshot. No, I'm just kidding. No, there's a lot of lifestyle choices that we can make that can really give our bodies the tools it needs to just get back to a state of ease and to restore itself. And so did I answer your question? Yeah. Okay, and let's talk about, you know, some of the things that you can do. So first of all, I mentioned the foods, right? Just try to eat as pure as possible. If you just cook at home or cook at least reasonably well that you can at home, and if you occasionally eat out, be a little bit more conscientious of what you're taking in. If you really want fast results, cut out carbs. And that means eat all the vegetables you want. Eat protein and fats with every single meal. Eat berries. Eat fruits for sure. I actually encourage fruits. It should not be controlling your plate. It shouldn't be dictating your plate. Vegetables should be dictating your plate. Shoot for 2 vegetables at every meal. This is not about cutting calories, not at all. Just put the right calories into your body. I mean, food is calories, but it's also instruction. It tells our DNA what to do, and there's a lot of talk about genes right now, and the power of genes, and everyone can get our genes tested. But we have to remember that there's an environment involved in that, and sometimes the genes will express themselves, and sometimes they won't. There's a great expression, genes are the gun, environment pulls the trigger. And that really comes down to it. You know, I have diabetes in my family. I don't have any indications right now that I'm moving towards that direction of diabetes. So, you know, I think it's really about the lifestyle choices that you make. So, no counting calories. There's no such thing as diet. in my world, really. I don't even like that word. I cringe, the soup diets and everything like that. I'm like, no, don't do that. Let's just try this route. So really, just go with pure foods. The other thing is,